Voice Gang Stalking. Hello everyone. Welcome newbies. So glad you've joined. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Now, handlers. It's largely believed that this is mostly ran by a software. Remember the timing and the synchronicity of all the events that you've experienced. So, handlers think that they have all the control, but really they are just puppets for a larger order. So, the people that they employ for this position are sadists, really. What is a sadist? Someone who enjoys inflicting pain on others, sometimes in a sexual way. They like seeing other people hurt. A sadist is the opposite of a masochist who enjoys being in pain. A sadist is all about hurting others, usually to get off sexually. And a lot of times, guys, that's exactly what these people are doing. They're sitting at home, jerking off, calling themselves gods, taking the software's credit, essentially. So, I mean, not only is it quite sick, but it's very sad and pathetic, really. So they have to hire a certain kind of person that's gonna do this and enjoy doing it. Alright. And really, gang stalking seems to target one person. It can target anybody, but at the same time, really, what's the trend here? It seems that we're all very capable of thinking, problem solvers. They really hate thinkers, these people. They hate lovers and they hate thinkers. They don't want people at all like us. They just absolutely hate us. They are, in fact, Luciferians. We did go into the research of that. That's all documented. A lot of people in the White House and a lot of people in the higher pyramid that are making all of this happen are all Luciferians, in fact. So it's really Luciferians behind Luciferians that are running things at this point, and have been for a long, long time. And we've gotten into all that. So, essentially, this is about standing up for being allowed to think for yourself. Yeah, that's what this has come to. This is beyond communism. It's communism of the mind. They don't want you to have a single thought without their say-so. Everything you have, they want. There isn't a single thing that they will not take away from you, that they don't want to take away from you. They want it all. Just about every country is in a communist state of brainwashing, headed for a total fascist state and a new world order. It's just the general population of each country doesn't know that due to programming, conditioning, gang stalking, censoring. There's really, I think what was it, 4 parts to making the New World Order run, or was it 5? I'll have to break them out and draw them out for you. It was pretty. Or was it 4 parts to gang stalking? I don't know. I'll have to look at my notes again. So, yeah. So that the whole world is headed for a new order. Right? We've established that. We've researched that. We've looked at the evidence. They're not even hiding it. It's just the general population does not want to believe this, or that their government would do this to them. But when they do, and when our community of targeted individuals grow, these worlds will collide. So, how does that shift happen? Aside from them adding innocent souls to their lists, their Homeland Security lists. How does this happen other than that? By talking about it, of course. So start reaching out. That's what we're doing here, talking about it, voicing it, telling anybody who will listen, as long as it's not furthering the negative aspects of our personal campaigns or further discrediting ourselves. Other than that, we will tell anyone who will listen, right? With the proper language. In a way that they can understand. That's how the general public will come to know this. So these douchebags, these street perps, handlers, all these guys, they've got pagers. They're on a pager system. So I was going to talk about my very first confrontation. I haven't shared this. My very first confrontation with being gang stalked by multiples, like by hundreds. And this, of course, is called mobbing. So I was hanging out with a particular group of people who I thought were my friends, right? And they were new. They had recently come into my life, but I was not aware that I was being gang stalked, not aware of my program at all. And all of these people turned out to be gang stalkers or sold me out in some way in a very short period of time. And that's why a lot of them were employed in the first place to befriend me. So that's what happened. So I'm hanging out with these people, and I have somebody over, and we're hanging out, and it's getting late, and we're talking, and I'm starting to not feel well. And I'm not feeling well at all. Well, I've been drugged. I don't realize this at the time because I'm not used to being drugged all the time yet. So I'm actually just trying to go with it at this point. And I'm talking to this guy, and he's getting real hot and cold, because he's a perp. So real hot and cold. And he starts giving me... I start telling him what's going on, about my suspicions, about dude that I'm dating, and some friends that I have, and just some really weird happenings in my life that can't be explained. So I'm confiding in him, and he's getting real hot and cold. They do that emotional, psychological abuse with you. So, and anyway, hours and hours go by, and he ends up telling me that he works for the organization. He's being vague at some points, and then at others, he's being quite direct. So I said, and he's also being quite judgmental as well. My goodness, he was so judgmental, and really just trying to make me feel like shit. And it wasn't happening for him, or for me. And so he was getting really pissed off. Really pissed off. So then, of course, all of a sudden now he's trying to sleep with me. And he's trying hard. So now I'm just pissed at this point. And of course I don't want to have anything to do with him, because it's already been apparent that he's a creep. And I barely know the guy anyway. So he's really mad at me now and acting quite immature. And here, somehow, oh, that's right, he gets me some water. We all know the water trick. Watch out for the water. He gets me some water, and he drugs me. In a big way this time. And I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out so bad at this point that I want to go to the hospital. But I'm not able to drive. He's not driving. and I'm quite a ways from the hospital. Well, a little bit of a ways. So now he's being all nice to me. Right, now he's going to save me. So he's walking me up to the hospital now, and he's taking me forever, and I don't know the way until after the fact. Then I knew the way. He took me the worst, longest way you could possibly go. And he's having me walk on the inside of him because he's like, I don't want you to get hit by a car. People have been known to just take people out on the side of the road. I thought that he was still trying to, like, hit it or something. So he was attempting to look like a gentleman with his pathetic attempt. That's what I thought it was. But it made perfect sense later what he, in fact, was telling me. And that was, a hint or, laying their little ground workings. That makes sense later on during our campaigns. So I finally get to the hospital and I turn around and to ask him something, and he's literally running the other way, sprinting the other way, running away from me. So I'm like, all right, whatevs. Freaking douchebag weirdo. Okay. So I go to the hospital. They let me in right away. And I've been to this hospital before. Last time I was here, I waited 8 hours. And it was just so odd. And the emergency room was packed. It was shoulder to shoulder. I get in, I do like a quarter of my paperwork. She's like, that's okay, we'll finish it for you. And they call me back. And I'm like, this is very odd. So I say something out loud. And they're like, oh, nope, you're just up. I'm like, all right. Okay. So I tell them I'm experiencing some great anxiety and I don't know what's going on. I need a toxology test or something like that. And so they give me something that's supposed to be an Ativan and something else I can't quite remember. Well, it wasn't either of those things. It was one of those, psychotic inducing drugs. This was no Ativan. I had never experienced anything like this at all. It was insane. It's like what I would imagine PCP would be like, but I've never done PCP, so I don't know. So basically I took off, and every time I tried to make a phone call, no matter what stranger I ran into, the phone, you know how they reroute the phone. And if I would walk into the business, they do this thing where they have to press a number first, and if you don't let them dial it, then they won't help you, right? No other business is rude like this or has these policies unless it's a gang stalking business and they're in the middle of a campaign, of a confrontation campaign. All of a sudden they implement all these policies, right? So I can't use the phone. So I'm like, screw it, I'm a backpacker. I'll just walk like a couple miles until I can use a phone or I can get out of these perp pockets. Well, the longer I walk, man, there's hundreds of them. They're everywhere. And they all have kids and shit trying to get to me. Like, they actually really think that bothers me. Anyway, whatever. So they're absolutely everywhere. And I'm walking through town and at this point, remember, I don't know what's going on. I've never heard about gang stalking. I've heard about the New World Order, but I didn't know it was like actively campaigning in the individual inside our communities. I had no idea. Who does? Who does until you're gang stalked? So at this point, of course, I'm thinking something must have like popped or something in my brain. Maybe I'm extremely dehydrated. I mean, I am really reaching for answers as to why this is going on. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And now I've walked a couple miles at this point, and I'm in the thick of it because they've herded me. Remember, we talked about it. They do that thing called herding. They'll herd you into certain parts of town. It's all very elaborate and involved, the way that they do this. So they got me into the thick gang stalking part of town and stores. And now they're trying to hit me with their cars. Now they're cornering me in parking lots. Like, a lot of them. I mean, sometimes it's like 12 cars at a time. And they are they're trying to hit me. They're trying to make attempts on my life. They're not trying to scare me, man. They're trying to take me out. And they're going all around me. Again, this is another mobbing tactic. And this was the first time that had happened to me, but I've since been mobbed by cars since then. So, and then I get a call, or no, I call that dude that took off, that walked me up to the hospital and then ran away sprinting. I called him, and all he said was, "Shh, I can't talk. I'm on the bus and there's cameras everywhere, but your parents are on the way to get you." And I said, "Oh my gosh, okay, my parents?" And then he hung up. So I thought, okay, I'm not going crazy, because this dude is just talking about cameras, and he seems to know what's going on. How does he know about my parents? How does he even know they're in town? Ring, ring, my mom calls. Okay, so now I'm on the phone with my mama, and she's like, "Where are you? You know, we're just like a couple miles away. Tell us exactly where you are. We're going to come get you." So then I'm like, all right, so my parents' ride is bugged. I don't know for sure, but obviously I'm highly suspicious of that at this point. Otherwise, how would this guy know that they were coming to get me? So they pull up, come to get me, and about less than a minute before they pull up to get me, all activity stops. And I mean, it was like a carnival, you guys, a circus, freaking Disney World of gang stalking perps. You know what I'm talking about. You've had these extreme mobbing episodes. We've talked about this amongst ourselves, where they come by the hundreds. And the idea of that is so that they can film you and make you look crazy. They'll drug you, get you into a highly populated area where they can all catch you on their cell phone, try and get you to act out, perhaps commit some kind of crime, and then all of these witnesses who are really just gang stalking low-life perps go to court, and testify against you. Very, very, very common. So not only are these mobbing episodes, it's a conditioning and a sensitization, but it's also a coercion into perhaps trying to get you to kill yourself, or them trying to kill you, or you committing a crime, incriminating yourself somehow. Yeah. So after that, I went home, and it was just, I mean, I was so sure of it after that. Nobody was talking me out of it. I went through my laptop, and it obviously had been hacked, so I had my mom and my brother take that apart, and they could see for themselves that there was something major going on with that laptop, and it took us forever to get that thing clean. And, I mean, as far as the iPhone, I just had to wipe that clean. But we know every time you do that, they just, I don't even bother anymore with that. So, but after that, I was able to fly to the East Coast and convince myself it was something organic going on with me. And then after that, I had the episode on the streets of Brooklyn that I shared with you guys a few videos back. A lot of videos back. My confirmation episode in New York came after that, a couple months later. So I just wanted to share with you another experience that I had, and kind of the ins and outs of that, the purposes of those experiences and why they force us to go through those. And I would love to hear your guys' experiences as well. It's good to compare but not resign each other to each other's experiences. And not just make up your mind that that's going to happen to you. But it is definitely so valuable for us to be sharing. It really is. And I mean the details. And sharing all the time with each other. And getting that outlet, that emotional outlet, because they just want you to isolate and shut down and not share. No, you've got to be selective about when you share with your family. Don't be selective about when you're sharing with your friends who are targeted individuals. Real targeted individuals, not those douchebags that come on the channel and pretend to be TIs. Thanks, guys. You've taught me so much. Okay, everybody, take care, and thank you for joining me. Welcome new subscribers, and if anybody has any video ideas, go ahead and give me a comment, and I'll see what I can throw together for us.